We're holding and Kuf Mem Vav Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Man Tana, Tana Rabbana. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. It's less about learning. We should have the basic English immediately. Learning the Nishma, Savakol, the Basra Daf and Savas Ben Sian, and for Shleima for Abdul Ben Sarah. Italia gets all yes, but it's better. Okay, so we had a discussion here about Umdana. Umdana was what we can assume was the reason why the person was giving this gift, right? So, for example, in the Mishnah, we said that if someone gave all his property away, there's a shchimera, gives away all his property. So we said it must be because he thought he was going to die. If he didn't die, then he gets it back. We go after the Umdana. We had another case in the Gemara where someone, there's a rumor that a person's son died. So he writes a will. He writes over all his property to someone else. It turns out that his son was still alive. So we had the opinion of Reb Shimon ben Manasseh that says it's not a good gift what he gave to someone else because it's obvious that it was because he thought his son was passed away, but really he was alive. We had another case where someone was being either taken out to be killed or sick. Or he says, write a get to my wife. So we said that it must be that he also means write and give it. That's assumed because he was going to die, that was his intention. So we followed the Umdana. Anyway, the Gemara said this one maybe would say that one is, everyone agrees to, or whatever. We went back and forth. Now the Gemara says, Man Tana Lahad Tana Rabbanan. Who's the author of the following brisa? Someone was sick. Mutal b'mita, he's laying in bed. They told him, what do you want to do with your possessions? Who do you want it to go to? He says to them, it seemed to me that I had a son. However, but now that I know I don't have a son, so let's give it to so-and-so. Same case, this person that's ill, he's in bed. And they told him, who would you like your possessions to go to? I thought, or it seemed, that my wife was pregnant. Now that my wife is not pregnant, so we should give it to so-and-so. Okay, that's obviously not a full story. What happens?
This sounds like someone today, there's people that are not get older.
Like dementia? That would be a different issue. That would be, is he in the right state of mind to be able to give a gift? Here we're not talking about someone that's not in the right state of mind. Here we're just saying, it turns out, it turns out Sheyesh Ben, that he actually does have a son. He was misinformed. So ein matnasi matana. It's not a good gift what he gave. But he gave it to someone else. That's not a good gift. Now, this is the concept of umdana. You know why he gave it.
Yeah, but over here he said it's umdana.
So
Mishnah is assumed.
Yeah, Mishnah is assumed, and even the brisas that we brought after the Mishnah is also more of an assumption. Although, yeah. So anyway, that's correct what you're saying. The Gemara is going to say what you're saying now. The Gemara says it must be Leimer Reb Shimon ben Manasseh v'lei Rabbanan. Must be Reb Shimon ben Manasseh. Reb Shimon ben Manasseh said that if his son went to a faraway place, and we heard that the son died, and then the father gives all his possessions to someone else, then we find out that the son's alive. So the Tanna Kama holds that it's a good gift. So maybe the Tanna Kama over here would also say it's a good gift. It's only Reb Shimon ben Manasseh that says that we follow the umdana, this assumption of why he did that. The Gemara says no. Over here, you could say that it's even the Rabbanan. Why? Because Daimeh Shaini. Over here, he added in the words that it seemed to me that I had a son, but now that I don't, so he spelled it out. He spelled it out that if I would have had a son, I never would have done this. So if that's the case, he filled in the that clause into the like he filled in the clause into the contract. So what's the this is obviously this would go according to everyone. Mar says with the karila my karila. This is so obvious. So what were you thinking in the first place to even ask the question? Yeah. Mar says Mao the Tsari who the midkar. I could have thought like this, that because he now has to give it to someone else, so he's remembering now, this brings up the fact that he doesn't have a son. So he's kvetching. He's like saying his sorrows. Oh, yeah, I don't have a son. Look at what I have to do. It's not that he wanted it to go to his son. It's just because he's dealing with Yerusha, so that's reminding him about his son. That's what I could have thought. I could have thought that it's not, it's, you see, by the other case, by interesting, because by Reb Shimon Shazuri, not Reb Shimon Shazuri, by Reb Shimon ben Manasseh, also we said, why didn't he bring from Reb Shimon ben Manasseh to show us about Umdana? So he says, Umdana, that's what's called the Umdana de Muchach. Since the only time that he gave this gift was after he hears the rumor that his son died. Before he heard the rumors, he didn't give the gift. Now that he heard the rumors that his son died, now he gave the gift. That was an Umdana de Muchach. That was like, that everyone, it looked like everyone would agree with that. Question about it would be about a different Umdana. Here we're saying that, well, it could be that it wasn't so obvious. The fact that he was saying that. Could be he was just saying it because he's remembering now that his sorrows. This is sort of like, the Rebbe says in the Makif and the Bina, how can you sleep in Makif and the Bina? Right? So you mitzvah. When do you feel the tsar that you don't feel it? You only feel that when you're in the sukkah. That's when you feel. So here, when does he feel his pain? When he's talking about the Yerusha. Kamash Milan comes to tell us that no, that's not what's going on. It's not just that he's feeling his pain. He's basically saying that he would have given it to his son if his son was alive. Okay. Following Gemara takes a twist on us. It says, Amar Rab Zera, Amar Rav. Zera says in the name of Rav, we were understanding this, that Shchiv Mirashim's gift, that it was because the sages instituted that it should be considered a gift even without a kinyan, even without a lifting something. Just the fact that he said it, that should work. Comes along Rab Zera in the name of Rav, says, what's our source for this in the Torah? In the next page, we're going to have that it's not necessarily so. We're going to have that it's really midirabbanan. But the Gemara here on this side of the page, as you turn the page, it switches opinions. So on this side of the page, we're thinking it's a daraisa. The fact that someone on his deathbed is able to transfer property without a contract and without a kinyan. So what's the source? It says, Shenemar the pasuk says that if a person doesn't have any sons, so the inheritance is passed over to his daughters. That's by the Bnei Slafchad. Yesh lecha havara achera shikazu. Saying it didn't have to use the word ba'avartim. Yeah, the Rashbam goes through some other ways of learning this Gemara, which he rejects. One is he says maybe he's learning it from the word s. He rejects that. Another pshat is maybe it's because it didn't say it's the havartim was said instead of an asatim. You should give. Havartim means you should pass over. Maybe use the word pass over instead of you should give. So he rejects that as well. Basically, what he's saying is that the word havartim is extra. Yeah. And he says both of them are not necessary. Because the pasuk could have said, if a man dies and he doesn't have sons, inheritance to the daughter. His inheritance to the daughter. Doesn't have to say to pass over to the daughter, give to the daughter. It's his inheritance to the daughter. Well, so it's coming to tell me, why is it using that word? It's coming to tell me that there is another time that inheritance works like this. Be'ezu, which inheritance is that? Zumat neshchemira. That's when someone on his deathbed makes a statement that someone should inherit. So that also passes over. Okay. Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. Rav Nachman says the name of Rabba Baravua. I think is his father-in-law. Mihacha says he has another source. It says V'nasatem esnach l'asilachav. Going further in the pasuk. Pasuk says if he doesn't have sons, it gets passed over to his daughter. If he doesn't have a daughter, it passes. It's given to his brothers, right? So we said first it goes to the father, right? But it says V'nasatem. It says and you should give. That's an extra word. It doesn't have to say should give. It's just say, and his inheritance goes to the brothers. So why is it saying give? It's coming to include another type of inheritance. Bezu, and which one is this? Zumat neshchemira. This is the gift of the shchemira. It works like an inheritance, but you don't have to do any transaction for it to happen. Rav Nachman, my time it's interesting. In this Gemara, it's our second time that we're doing this. We have to. Why is this one not saying like that one? We had it yesterday also. It says because the word va'avartem, like which Rav used, Rab Zerus in the name of Rav used that word va'avartem to pass over. So that he uses, Rav Nachman uses for what Rebbe says. The Tanya was taught in a brayso. Rebbe says, "B'kulam nemra bem nasina v'kan nemra havara." It always says you should give it. Over here it says you should pass it over. When we're talking about passing over, we're talking about that it's leaving one family entirely and it's going over to another family, another tribe. So we're talking about that if there's a girl that's going to inherit because she doesn't have any brothers, right? So she's going to be the one to inherit. And then she gets married. So either her husband or her son is going to inherit from her. So it's going to get passed over. Okay. So the word va'avartem is coming to teach me something else. That it passes over, the woman is like this transfer from tribe to tribe. So he didn't want to learn matna shchemira from that because it's already used for something. Rab Zeir my time layamar bin asatem. Why doesn't Rab Zeir learn from bin asatem? It says urcha dekrahu. That's just typical for the pasuk. So typical for the pasuk, he doesn't consider it extra. He didn't say a bracha, right? Okay. Reb Menashe by Yirmiyah Amar Mehacha. Reb Menashe by Yirmiyah says we're going to learn it from somewhere else. It says by Yomim Mahem. In those days, Chalach Chizkiyo Lamas, King Chizkiyo was ill. He was on his deathbed. V'yaveh love Yeshaya ben Amitzanavi. And Yeshaya, the prophet, comes to him and says, "V'yimri love Kayamar Hashem." Hashem said, "Sav lebeischa kimesata." Tells him, "Go instruct your household because you're going to die." I may say you're going to die, and you won't live. So the fact over here that it says tzav, you should go and instruct. Look at what do you mean instruct? It says b'tzava ba'alma. Obviously, with instructions itself, everything is put into position, the transfers already take place just with the tzava, just with the instruction. In the end, he didn't pass away then, and then he prayed and he got better. And then he prayed. Yeshaya prayed, right? He got married, right? They told him he was going to die because he didn't get married. So he got married. He married Yeshaya's daughter, and then he had the son Menashe that ended up killing his grandfather Yeshaya. But meanwhile, in this process, we learned that matna shchemira could be just with instruction. Rami Bar Yecheskel says, Mehacha, it's from another source. It says, V'achiteifel ra kilei nasasa tasiv v'yachvesh escha chamar v'yelech al beisei el hira v'yetzavis beisei v'yechana. Well, this was the story with Avshalom. This is David's son that's leading a rebellion against his father. So he ends up going to his father's Avshalom, right? Goes to his father's concubines to show that he's like the new king, and then there's this thing. What are they going to do about David? So Achitophel gives him this plan. He's going to go take some man and do whatever. And then there was a spy over there, Hushai, right? He was yeah. He says, "What are you doing here?" He says, "No, I'm with you." Tells Avshalom. Anyway, he tells him, "Don't do what Avshalom told you to do, to take these 12,000 men and go. Do what I say." Anyway, meanwhile, he went and informed David what the plan was. When Avshalom sees that they didn't carry out his plan, Achitophel sees they didn't carry out his plan. He went and he instructed his house, and he strangled himself.
Does this mean that he hung himself?
I think so.
He killed himself. Yeah.
Yeah. And it says B'tzava B'alma. What do you mean he instructed his house? That means that it was only instruction what he did, right? Achitophel apparently was a Talmud Chacham. What does it say? Shalei lamad me'achitophel ala shnei dvarim belvad. Right? There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. If someone teaches you one halacha, you should give him respect. Kal v'chomer from Achitophel. That David learned from Achitophel 2 things, and he called him his teacher. So if you learn from someone one thing, for sure you have to call him your teacher. Yeah. So we said pshat over there. The Rebbe has a pshat. We said another pshat. The Rebbe's pshat has to do with that Torah Lishma contains in it all the rest of the Torah. So by Achitophel's Torah, it was just like dead Torah. It wasn't. It was only 2 things alone. If you learn the actual Torah, so in that is contained everything. But we said a pshat that Shalei lamad ma'achitophel ella shenid barim bilvad. He didn't learn from Achitophel. We put the words shnei dvarim together, not shnei dvarim. Didn't learn from Achitophel 2 things. Shalei lamad ma'achitophel. We didn't learn from Achitophel ella shenid barim. They were just talking. Shenid barim. They were just talking. They're schmoozing. It wasn't a real learning. Rabbi Hertz from England, the chief rabbi, the Hertz Chumash. He writes, I forgot the guy's name. He writes that he told this to some professor at the university, and he agreed with him that this is a good pshat. I forgot the guy's name. It wasn't a Jewish professor. Okay, Tana Rabbanan.
But you're not supposed to commit suicide.
Yeah.
So did anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Tana Rabbanan was taught in a brisa. Shleisha dvarim tiva Achitophel espanav. 3 things Achitophel told his sons. I didn't look up the commentary here. I wonder how they comment on this. Al tiyu b'machleikas. He told them, don't get involved in arguments. Yeah. In this week's parsha, Hashem berachas Abram bakol, right? Hashem blessed Abram with everything. So Rashi says that he had a daughter, right? Rashi brings Bakol Shema. Her name was Bakol. The question is that why did he have to send Eliezer to get a wife for Yitzchak from Matan Torah? Could have married Bakol. Yitzchak could have married Bakol. So the answer, because it's a machlekes, if that's what he had a daughter, he didn't want to be mashadach into machlekes.
Wow.
Okay, so I'll tell you about machlekes.
Any woman?
Sorry?
What would Bakol mean?
With everything. Best them if it means what is the other? Maybe it doesn't mean another son or something. Forget this.
Getting a shidduch.
I'm just saying, so Yitzchak could have married his sister, Bakol. So because it's machlekes,
Why Bakol? Oh, because
that's what it means.
why not?
Okay, don't take it serious. It's a joke. So the first thing is don't be involved in machlekes. Al timadu b'malchus beis David. don't rebel against kingdom of Beis David. So he's really regretting his life. Yom Tiv Shel Atzeres, he'll tell them one more thing. On Shavuos, if you look outside and there's a clear sky, plant wheat. It's going to be a good wheat crop this year. Marzutra says bolol itmar, that it wasn't said that if it's going to be a clear sky, you should plant wheat. The opposite, if it's a overcast sky, that's when you should plant the wheat. Amri Nardoi Mishmei Reb Yaakov.
Just wanted to say hello.
Moshe.
From Hebron.
Amazing.
We're outside Hebron right now. So thinking of all of you, going to daven for Mirz Hashem for our Kehillah. Here we are.
Thank you.
Doing our share in Hebron today.
Caused an international incident.
All good, all good. Is Shalom there? Did he make it this morning?
Yeah, pick a fight with the UN guys.
Where's Shalom? Hey, Shalom. Told you I'd say hi. Okay, good to see you. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Crazy. Tomorrow night. Oh, Friday morning, whatever. Okay.
No, we're going to see him today, Mashiach now.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Okay, call Tuf.
Okay. Amazing. So Nardai says the name of Rabbi Yaakov, Leibar Mamish, Leibar Bar Mamish, Leibal Bal Mamish. When it says a clear sky, it doesn't mean actually clear. When it says an overcast sky, it doesn't mean actually overcast. Alafila Balal, but even if it's overcast, Ruach Tzvainis Min Hashavte, but a north wind is blowing it, Zehu Barar. The north wind apparently pushes off the clouds, will clear it up. Okay. Talking about what happens on Shavuos when you see the sky. But Shavuos was when we're judged on fruit, right? We're judged on fruit, not wheat. We're judged on, is fruit considered wheat? Is wheat considered fruit? Okay. I know, but does it go under Paris, right? Doesn't it say Nidan ala Paris? Shavuos Nidan ala.
Not Gama.
Well, I don't know if that's the problem. Mishnah Rosh Hashanah, Nidan ala Paris. I think it says Shavuos. Okay. Amarle Rabbi Abba le Rab Ashi. Rabbi Abba says to Rab Ashi. That's interesting. Anan ad Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi masninan. We learned this statement on something else, on the statement of Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Dam Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi, Yitzchak bar Avdimi taught, Moitza Yom Tov Achen Shel Chag. On the last, right after the last day of Sukkot. Sukkot is Nidan Alamayim. Sukkot were judged on water. It says, Hakol Seif and Lashon HaMarach. Everyone looks at the smoke on the Mizbeach, on the altar. See which way it's being blown. Not a Klapit Safain. If there's a south wind that's blowing it to the north, right? If it's being blown to the north, which means there's a south wind. Aniyim Smechem Abalebatim Atzevim. The poor people are rejoicing. However, the wealthy people, the Balabatim, they're sad. Why? It's going to be a lot of rain. And there's going to be so much rain that the fruits are going to rot. They're going to have to get rid of it quickly. What happens when you get those bananas? You got to lower the price. Yeah, when they all ripen, when all your bananas ripen at the same time, you can't sell them at the same price because they're all going to go bad. They give you like 2 days to finish. There's a few hundred bananas there, so you have to sell them quickly, cheap. So all the poor people are happy. The prices go down. They have to sell it quickly. Now that's if there's a south wind blowing towards the north. Not the Klapidarim. If there's a north wind, it's blowing it towards the south. It's the opposite. The poor people are sad, and the Balabatim are happy. They should give Mishamatim because the rain was a small amount of rain. Here's Mishtamrim, and the fruits are going to last a long time. Going to be able to store it, so they can raise the prices. They have a long time to sell it. You don't have to sell it today. So So the prices go up. Not the klapi mizrach. Let's say it's going towards the east, which means there's a west wind blowing towards the east. Hakol smechem, everyone is happy. Klapi mayrav, if there's an east wind blowing towards the west, hakol atzevim, everyone is sad because it's going to be a famine.
Oh, they're worried about.
It's the day after Sukkot.
Oh, okay.
Ramini. What's that joke Yossi Jacobson says with the Indian?
Mincha, Min Marav.
No, that's a different joke. They had this joke with this guy that they wanted to make him the chief of the Indian tribe. His one job that he needs to do is to tell them what if it's gonna be cold that winter. So he doesn't know what to do, so he runs to the payphone and he calls the weather report. What's it gonna be? They say, yeah, it's gonna be cold. Anyway, he comes here. It's gonna be cold. They start chopping wood. A week later, he goes back, calls. He says it's gonna be pretty cold. So he goes back. He tells them they start chopping more wood. It just goes back and forth every time. So finally, he asked him, "How do you know?" He says, "Oh, we look at what the Indians are doing to tell us the weather." Okay, so here that's what they're doing. They're looking at the smoke on the altar. It tells them what the season's going to be. The Gemara has a question for Ramini. What are you saying? You told me that a west wind is a good wind. Everyone is happy. I have a brisa that says an east wind, everyone is happy. You told me that a west wind, everyone is you told me that an east wind, everyone is sad. The brisa says a west wind, everyone is 1 second. Mizrachis, an east wind, according to this brisa, is good. You told me that the west wind was good. Maravis, the brisa says a west wind, Leilam Kasha, is bad. You told me before a west wind is good. Yeah? It's mamish a contradiction, exactly the opposite. Ruach Tzfeines, when it comes to a north wind, Yafa Lachitim B'Shashe V'Yushlesh. If the wheat has already reached 1/3, now it doesn't need rain anymore because it's already grown the first amount, so it doesn't need rain. Now it just grows on a minimal amount of rain. So then a north wind is good because it doesn't make it rain. The north wind doesn't bring the rain. What do we say? The north wind it disperses the clouds. Yeah.
The north wind, it could be cloudy as long as there's a moon.
And then it clears it up. Kashal is asim, but it's not good for the olives. B'shashe yanitzu, at the time when they're blossoming, because over there they do need the rain. Rach mizrach urach draimus samsari, a south wind that does bring the rain. That's kashal lachitim b'shashe v'yushlesh. That's problematic for the wheat after it's reached the 3rd. And b'yafal is asim, but it's good for the olive b'shashe yanitzu at the time that it's blossoming. If you want to remember what's the north, what's the south, so it goes like this. Shulchan b'tzafan. When it comes to wheat, the north wind was good. The north wind grows the wheat. Menorah adaran. When it comes to the olives, the south wind grows the olives. Yeah. Ha marbi didei, v'hai marbi didei. This grows this, and this grows itself, and this grows itself. Now, what it means is that in the Beis Hamikdash, when you walked into the first big room, the Heichal, so on the south, so you're walking in from the east to the west. So you're walking in from east to west. So on the south is the menorah. On the north is the table with the showbread, with the lachem hapanish. It's coming to tell you that the north is the wheat, where the bread is, and the south with the oil, with the menorah, the oil That's the south was referring to the south wind is good for the oil, and the north wind is good for the fat.
Whoa.
Is that right or left?
So the north is going to be on you're facing west. You're not facing east. You're facing west. So you're
Southwest.
No, you walk from east.
you walk from the
This way
east,
is
but
the
you're
north, this
facing
way is
west.
south.
You're facing the west. So the north is going to be on your right.
What was on the right, the Minera or the?
Menorah.
No,
The menorah is going to be on
it
the
was on the south side. Look at the filter was on the.
Field
shulchan
trip.
is on the north.
Field trip.
That's the shulchan is on the north. That's going to be on your left.
On your right.
Field
See the way
trip.
you're facing west
Yes.
right now, right? I'm
Okay.
facing. east.
Facing west. So
On
this
your
side
right
is the
north.
is the north. This side is the north.
That's where the shulchan is.
So the shulchan is on the north. Okay, that's the right. Okay. And the menorah would be on the south, which is the left. I don't know anything about that. Put it on the table. It's
Part of the room.
The Shabbos comes. What?
not in shulchan. I don't know. Where's this? shulchan?
It's Minera and the shoulder related.
Similar.
Really? It says this somewhere?
It's unbesprochen. It's
Oh, in Azam B'Shvachim.
unbesprochen. Oh, according to
The
that,
mitzvah,
you should sit on the north, the chal should be here, and
Uh-huh.
the lift should be the south.
Hillel.
It's going up in.
Yeah.
It's unbesprochen.
In Azam B'Shvachim, it says something.
It's going to ocean.
It says something about where we put the candle, the Shabbos table.
Go south, dude.
And we're getting into all this because of what Aki Tofel said,
Yeah.
right?
Oh. Dude.
Okay, and we got into Achitefel because we're talking about the Matnas Mira. So, but this is also mentioned when it comes to Shemon Esrei. It says if you want to get rich, so you face to the north to get rich. And instead of east, you turn yourself from the east northeast. You want to get smart, the wise, you face to the south. Because shulchan, the table, which is shows on Parnasa, that's the menorah shows on wisdom, right? That's where it's brought in. So we have a question over here because you told me the east wind is this, the west wind is that, and it turns out that there's a contradiction. The Gemara says like kasha halan v'halahu. It depends if you're in Israel or if you're in Bavel. If you're in Israel, they need the rain. If you're in Bavel, the rain is harmful because it's a valley; it just collects over there. So the less rain, the better. In Israel, the more rain, the better. Tanya B'Shalom was taught in the Brisa. B'Shal says Yom Tov Shel Atzeres Bar Sim Yafal Chol Hashana Kula. If Shavuos is a clear sky, that's a good sign for the whole year. Amrav Zvid, Hayom Akad Kama Derei Shata. The first day of the year, which I assume means Rosh Hashanah. Ichamim, if it's hot day, Kulashat Chamim, the whole year is going to be hot. Ikarer, if it's cold, Kulashat Krira, then the whole year is going to be cold. What's the difference? The Kohen Gadol has to know what to daven for 10 days later on Yom Kippur. When he goes in, he says a short prayer, so he has to know what to pray. Okay. Rava Amar Rav Nachman, told you when you turn the page, it's going to switch opinions here. Rava says, this is just a rabbinic enactment that that when a shchimira gives a gift, it's considered given even without a transaction. Shema titarif daite alav, lest his mind become what's the word titarif? What do they use over there? Deteriorate.
What's the mental condition of this person?
Maybe lest his mind deteriorate. And the reason is because he's going to feel bad that he's not able to put his affairs in action. He may end up dying from that pain. that he won't be able to put his things into place. His sons won't follow the instructions, and so he wants it to be as if it's a done deal.
That leave the lawyers.
With fights.
They should die would depend on the wind, which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah, Rav Nachman Achi, does Rav Nachman really say this, that it's a derabanan? Rav Nachman said, Afagav Damar Shmuel, even though Shmuel said, this is a statement from Shmuel, which we had before in Baba Basra. Got it in fifth parak. Doesn't quote it here on the side, but he did have it before. We had it on the nickname b'Masira when you sell a document. Okay, so it says like this: that if a person sells a promissory note to his friend, then the seller, the one that had the promissory note, the lender, right, the one that can go and collect, he then goes and forgives the entire loan after he already sold the document. So that's sneaky. So it's machal. It's considered forgiven, even though the guy just purchased it. Apparently, even though he sells the document, but he still holds the loan, the indebtedness was still to him. So he still has that inherent debt that he's able to forgive or not. The other guy can go collect it, but he still retains something. So afilu yarish meichel, and not only can the person that sold the loan do that, but even his inheritor can do that, because inheritor also has that inheritor has the inherent debt that's to him, even though the other person purchased the document. Okay.
The other person purchased.
Well, he's going to end up getting his money back from the document. He goes back to him and gets his money back. It's not like ha 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 ha. It's not like that. But nevertheless, he can't collect that loan. So
I don't understand how this helps the argument.
1 second. We're in the middle.
Just a second.
Okay.
1 second. Hold on. Wait one
Hold
more.
your horses.
Shmuel would agree that if it's given as a matna shchivmira, the person on a sick bed gives it, then the person can't forgive it anymore. That's a real transaction that it's totally given over. Yeah. In other words, before what was happening was just a sale of the document. Now it's not just a sale of a document, it's given over as an inheritance to this person. Remember we said that the inheritor couldn't forgive it? Well, here it's the inheritor and the purchaser, because it was given as a matna shemira. Then it can't be forgiven. Now, you can't forgive it. Now, if you say that gift of the matna shemira is a daraisa gift, that's why the inheritor isn't able to forgive it, because it's given this as a real transaction. But if you say it's just a rabbinic enactment, why this is going to be stronger than a sale? It's just a rabbinic enactment. We say that it takes its new position. The Gemara says, so this is our question. Rav Nachman says that it's Rabbah said name Nachman's rabbinic. We have a problem because it seems like it's a daraisa from this case. What Rav Nachman saying, where it says "Eina shelter vasuk shelter." You're right. It's not a biblical law, but it's made as strong as a biblical law. So you can't ask a question: so how does it work so strong? Because the rabbinic enactment, they made it work like a Torah law, to make it that the person his mind shouldn't deteriorate, thinking that everything that I'm trying to put in order is not going to work. So they made it that strong. Amar Rav Nachman. Rava said the name of Rav Nachman. So-and-so should live in this house. So-and-so should eat the fruits of this palm tree. That's not considered any sort of transaction. That's like instruction. Like, can you put my thing over here? That's not a business instruction. He has to say he should own it, give it to him, the other boy, and he should live in it. He has to say give it to him. So if he does that, then that's a full transaction. The Maimra, what are you trying to say? The Savar of Nachman. Rav Nachman holds Milsid Isa Bebari, Isa B'Shchimira. If it would be considered a transaction by a healthy person, then it would be a transaction also by a Shchimira. Lesser Bebari, if it's not considered a transaction by a healthy person, lesser B'Shchimira. It's not considered a transaction by a Shchimira. The only problem is, Rava said the name of Rav Nachman, Shchimira that said, give over this loan to so-and-so. Give over this debt to so-and-so. And we're talking about here, not a milva b'shtar. If it would be a milva b'shtar, then that you can sell and you can give, and you give the person the document and he can go and collect. That we learn. But if a person says, so-and-so owes me money, you can go and collect it. So that doesn't work. There was no transaction there. The person can say, I don't know who you are. I don't know your money. There was never any, he owed one person money and it wasn't handed over to anyone else because it was a milval pay, it was a verbal a loan. So, but by a shchimira, it says, if he says, give this loan to so-and-so, even though it's there's no written document over this loan, alvasi leplaini, it does work. So, but Rav Nachman said that only things that work by a healthy person, a transaction, but works by a shchimira. If it doesn't work by a healthy person, it doesn't work by a shchimira. Here we see one case where Rav Nachman says that it does work. Afagav b'lesa b'bar, it doesn't work by a healthy person. Rav Papa says, Hayol v'yirish yarsha. It does work by a healthy person. If he would die, if the healthy person would die, it would go over as an inheritance. So therefore, if he gives it as a matna shchimira, it also goes over as an inheritance. Yeah, because the inheritors still are owed that money. So what exactly they can collect from, I'm not sure exactly how they can collect from property. Probably not. They can't collect from property. So maybe when the Yarshim are older, they're able to collect. Not from the Yisayim. Oh, they're collecting from the original guy. Yeah, they don't have a proof.
They don't have a lien on the property, but it's still a good.
They don't have a lien.
But it's still a good. It's still a good debt.
It's still a good debt. So, but what would be their proof? It could be witnesses. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but he's not dismissing. He's saying that it has to be the type of a transaction that transaction could have taken place with a document by a healthy person. So by a shchimira, you don't need to use a document. But if you can't say in a document, so-and-so should live in that house.
Yeah.
He didn't live in the house. But if you say so-and-so should acquire that house, so that would work by a healthy person, and then that would also work by a shchimira without a document. So 1 second, but he can do a transaction over here. He can shchimira can give over a loan that doesn't have a document, which doesn't work by a healthy person. We said, well, it does work by a healthy person, by a Yerusha. It works. It actually does work by a healthy person, but in a specific situation, it works like this. The Rav Huna said the name of Rav. If a person says to a person that owes him money, the lender says to the borrower, you owe me money, give it to so-and-so, but my mishlashtan, when the other person is there, So Kana, he acquires it even without any documents. You can just say, but if all three are there, you can say you pay it to him. That works. So therefore, you can also do that by a shtiv meira, even without the borrower being there, right? Even you can say, give it to him. Okay, let's leave it over here. Day by low. Yeah.